Hello. I haven't done one of these for a while. I thought it was time to do one. A few people have been asking where I am, so I thought I'd just do just a little video. Um, I have today off work actually. I've taken a couple of days off work, just because I'm in the middle of doing some things. I'm in a show at the moment, or a musical, or a production, whatever you want to call it, with a group where I live. I suppose you could say amateur stage. I don't know where you come from, what you would call it. A play, maybe, to word it like that. But for the last 5 months or so, I've been doing this production, or this musical, and I do them occasionally, and maybe once every couple of years. It's just something that I've done. I suppose since the last 10 years or so, I've often been involved in that sort of thing, and it's something that I enjoy. This show that I've done this year, however, it's actually pretty hard. It's probably one of the hardest shows I've ever done, and I'm not sure if anyone here has actually done any of that kind of stuff before, but it's a lot of work. And when you are doing any kind of stage work or anything like that, even if you're in a band or something like that, you've got a lot of stuff you have to learn, like a lot of songs you have to learn, stage direction, moving, set, backstage things. You have to remember all different kind of costumes. And this is actually really, really difficult. Like, it's been really, really difficult. So difficult that I've actually taken 2 days off for leave from work, just so I can, just have some time off, I guess, because the amount of time I've been spending towards this show. And because we actually open on Friday. That's the first performance date. At the end of this week is the first performance date of this show. And it's been a lot of work so far. So as a result, I just haven't really had a lot of time to do much. There's been other things that I've been wanting to do recently, but just haven't had the time. And I've just been needing to take more and more time out to sort of de-stress, that sort of thing. So I just haven't had time to do things like make videos and things like that, I suppose. But I was thinking yesterday that, speaking like from an introverted, if you want to put the INFJ label on this, from like an introverted perspective, I tend to focus a lot on like little details of things and stuff like that. And in this show, for instance, like when you do a show, you may not have a lot of space backstage to store costumes. Maybe this isn't really going to appeal to everyone that's listening, but I'm sort of just trying to explain where I'm at, I suppose, in terms of things. When when you do a show, you don't really have a lot of space. But if you're doing stage work, that is, if you're performing on stage as an actor, depending on the amount of other people in the cast, and depending on the place where you perform, like the theatre stage, you don't always have a lot of space backstage to store your stuff, right? Like, sometimes you may have a bench, sometimes you may have, you may get a mirror or something like that, depending on the theatre stage you're at. But the show that I'm in, because of the amount of space we have backstage and the amount of cast members we have, like, all we get is like a chair, and we get some hooks and some things like that, some hangers maybe to store some of your costume on. So last night when I was doing a rehearsal, I had to set up my costumes on my little chair that I had. And speaking as like an introvert, I like to have a lot of space. And if I'm doing a show, if I'm constantly around people, it's really draining after a while. And man, when I was going in, like setting up costume for the first time last night, like, setting up backstage space, and putting your stuff in order and arranging your costumes, and I saw like this little chair that I had just to put all these costumes on and all this stuff. And I was thinking, man, I don't have a lot of space. I don't have a lot of space to store all my stuff. I don't have a lot of space for when I'm backstage, and I need that that room to sort of be by myself in a way. And you can sort of get that when you're around people, but if you're compacted by a lot of people, it makes it really hard to do. You can't really be by yourself in a way. So I was already stressing out. I was stressing out about these little details. I was just stressing out about the fact that I only had a chair to put all my costumes on, or I only had a chair, which was like my space backstage. And people don't seem to worry about that. People don't really care. There are people that will just come in and they're just happy with whatever space they get. They're happy to take whatever space they're given, they're happy with. If they get a chair, they don't care. If the backstage space is cramped and there's not a lot of space, or there's too many people, they don't care. If they have to get changed in front of lots of people, they don't care. And a lot of people that do stage are like that, I suppose, because they're very extroverted people. But me, like little details like how much space I get backstage, that's like a really big deal for me. But you can't really voice that effectively in a scenario like that, because people find that as irrelevant. People find me wanting more space backstage. They think just work with what you got. You don't really need a lot of space or whatever. We don't have a lot of space, so just work with what we've got. And that alone has its own stresses, because that makes me stressed in that I can't express how I feel and be taken seriously on a subject like that necessarily. That stresses me out, but then it is also consequently stressing me out because I have this situation that I just don't really feel all that comfortable with. And if I try to explain it, people aren't really going to understand how I feel about it. So I'm like, you get over it after a while, and you learn to adapt. But to start with, it doesn't really help with everything else going on. And there's just these little kinks, or these little, there's tiny little things that occur. They kind of just build on each other until until it just becomes one big stress out, I suppose you could say. So that's where I'm at the moment, and just other things that are happening in life. I just got a lot of stuff going on, like emotional stuff going on. And I will make another video regarding INFJ stuff shortly, which I've got something to tie together with NoFap things. So that's I've got that in my head, and I'll put that together when I get the chance during this week. If I get the chance during this week. But I'm still here, and I'm still active. I'm just not. I just don't really have anything specific to talk about necessarily at this stage because of what I've been going through, other than things like that. Regarding NoFap, if anyone's interested, how I'm going with that. Things are a bit up and down, I suppose. The last few days, last week, I don't know. I can't really keep track of that stuff at the moment. I think it's gone alright. I think I've been alright. It ties to things such as the current stress and pressure that I've been going through with the stage. Like there can be a connection with that sort of thing at times. If you experience stress, sometimes you fall back to that. It does fall within the NoFap realm, as people know. But regarding that, it hasn't been too bad, actually. I know I did have some struggles, not all that long ago, actually, but recently things have been alright. You just keep fighting the good fight, and you have to understand that you're going to make mistakes, and things aren't always going to go the way that you plan them to go, but you need to be conscious to just keep on getting up and moving forward. And So once this show is over that I'm doing, which will be in a few weeks, I'll be, things will stabilize for me, I hope. And yeah, that's that. Anyway, this video has gone on long enough, and I'll have another one at some point. So yeah, I'm still here, and things are still happening for me.